Going with my read aloud series from Indian Economic Development, textbook for class 11. I'm continuing on with Unit 3, that is current challenges facing the Indian economy. So, in this, we are doing Chapter 8, Infrastructure. The chapter begins by a quote from the Chilean poet Gabriela Mistral. Many things we need can wait. The child cannot. To him, we cannot say tomorrow. His name is today. So is the infrastructure. So, introduction. Have you ever thought of why some states in India are performing much better than others? In certain areas, why do Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh prosper in agriculture and horticulture? Why are Maharashtra and Gujarat industrially more advanced than others? How come Kerala, popularly known as God's own country, has excelled in literacy, health care, and sanitation and also attracts tourists in such large numbers? Why does Karnataka's information technology industry attract world attention? It is all because these states have better infrastructure in the areas they excel than other states of India. Some have better irrigation facilities, others have better transport facilities or are located near ports, which makes raw materials required for various manufacturing industries easily accessible. Cities like Bengaluru in Karnataka attract many multinational companies because they provide world-class communication facilities. All these support structures which facilitate development of a country constitute its infrastructure. How does infrastructure facilitate development? Now, what is infrastructure? Infrastructure provides supporting services in the main areas of industrial and agricultural production, domestic and foreign trade, and commerce. So, in the main areas of industrial and agricultural production, domestic and foreign trade, and commerce, they provide supporting services. These services include road, railways, ports, airports, dams, power stations, oil and gas pipelines, telecommunication facilities, the country's educational system, including schools and colleges, health system, including hospitals, sanitary system, including clean drinking water facilities, and the monetary system, including banks, insurance, and other financial institutions. Some of these facilities have a direct impact on production of goods and services, while others give indirect support by building the social sector of the economy. Some divide infrastructure into two categories: economic and social. Infrastructure associated with energy, transportation, and communication are included in the former category, whereas those related to education, health, and housing are included in the latter. Relevance of infrastructure. Infrastructure is the support system on which depends the efficient working of a modern industrial economy. Modern agriculture also largely depends on it for speedy and large-scale transport of seeds, pesticides, fertilizers, and the produce using modern railways, roadways, and shipping facilities. In recent times, agriculture also depends on insurance and banking facilities because of its need to operate on a very large scale. Infrastructure contributes to economic development of a country both by increasing the productivity of the factors of production and improving the quality of life of its people. Inadequate infrastructure can have multiple adverse effects on health. Improvements in water supply and sanitation have a large impact by reducing morbidity, meaning proneness to fall ill from major waterborne diseases and reducing the severity of disease when it occurs. In addition to the obvious linkage between water and sanitation and health, the quality of transport and communication infrastructure can affect access to health care. Air pollution and safety hazards connected to transportation also affect morbidity. Transportation also affects morbidity, particularly in densely populated areas. So, next subheading is the state of infrastructure in India. So, what is the state there? Traditionally, the government has been solely responsible for developing the country's infrastructure, but it was found that the government's investment in infrastructure was inadequate. Today, the private sector by itself and also in joint partnership with the public sector has started playing a very important role in infrastructure development. A majority of our people live in rural areas. Despite so much technical progress in the world, rural women are still using biofuels such as crop residues, dung, and fuel wood to meet their energy requirement. They walk long distances to fetch fuel, water, and other basic needs. The census of 2001 shows that in rural India, only 56% households have an electricity connection and 43% still use kerosene. About 90% of the rural household use biofuels for cooking. Tap water availability is limited to only 24% of rural households. About 76% of the population drinks water from open sources such as wells, tanks, ponds, lakes, rivers, canals, etc. Access to improved sanitation in rural areas was only 20%. So let us look at this table 8.1, which shows the state of some infrastructure in India in comparison to a few other countries. Like the countries given here are China, Hong Kong, India, South Korea, Pakistan, Singapore, Indonesia. Though it is widely understood that infrastructure is the foundation of development, India is yet to wake up to the call. India invests only, how much can you see? 5%. Look at that. China is 20%. And Indonesia is as high as 14%, but look at that. South Korea is 7%, and we are just 5%. A lot to be done. And the source is World Development Indicators, World Bank website. From there we've taken. Now, talking about access to improved water source. Now look at this. China 92%, Hong Kong 92%. Look at India, it's 84%, and Singapore has 100%. Now, access to improved sanitation, and the year is 2012. It is 100% in Hong Kong, 100% in South Korea. China is 65%, we are 35%, and 100% in Singapore. So, can you see the difference? So, there's another one on the account of subscribers, mobile subscribers. Hong Kong is 223, ours is 69, South Korea is 110, Singapore 153, and Indonesia 115. And talking about power generation, billion kilowatts in 2010, 4,208 in China, 960 in India. And the rest is, as you can see. Some economists have projected that India will become the third biggest economy in the world a few decades from now. For that to happen, India will have to boost its infrastructure investment. In any country, as the income rises, the composition of infrastructure requirements changes significantly. For low-income countries, basic infrastructure services like irrigation, transport, and power are more important. As economies mature and most of the basic consumption demands are met, the share of agriculture in the economy shrinks and more service-related infrastructure is required. This is why the share of power and telecommunication infrastructure is greater in high-income countries. Thus, development of infrastructure and economic development go hand in hand. Agriculture depends to a considerable extent on the adequate expansion and development of irrigation facilities. Industrial progress depends on the development of power and electricity generation, transport, and communications. Obviously, if proper attention is not paid to the development of infrastructure, it is likely to act as a severe constraint on economic development. In this chapter, the focus will be only on only two kinds of infrastructure, those associated with energy and health. So in the next class, we'll be doing energy. I'll be reading energy.